Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and today we got ourselves the Dark and Ghost High Score event. Technically got it yesterday, but I was lazy, did nothing with it, and now we're doing it today. I was a little bit busy yesterday. Still am busy today, but I can now juggle the high score event a little bit more. I've heard that this one's pretty tough. Obviously you would expect that, two types would be easier rather than more difficult, but it seems that's not the case. Especially if obviously you're not a whale and you don't have every Ghost and Dark character in the game. One of the big things is probably the enemy gimmicks. Acerol has -3 sync countdown, which is really fucking annoying, as always. Eliza was very annoying in the Psychic High Score event for that. Fantina, no rules. Agatha, allies cannot change weather, terrain, or zone. Obviously, it'd be great to have zones, but now you gotta find a way to, I guess, work around that, whether it be by rebuff or just brute force. Sydney, ally tech stats down. There's a lot of great tech characters for Ghost and Dark, so the fact you can't use those is already very limiting. And then N, ally sync damage is reduced significantly, so no sync nukes, which is another big thing, Like Renegade Cynthia's got a pretty good nuke, you got Sydney, the Master Royale, Bryson, man, whoever else, right? You're really focusing on DPS. Not really sure where I'm going to place a lot of the characters for this event, but whatever. Again, I've heard that this one's pretty tough, so we're just going to have to probably work around lower strength. Again, I don't really try and rank highly in these events. Not really my game mode or anything like that, just would rather not. So I'm going to just go for the 200,000. If I get anything higher than that, cool. If I don't really care that much. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess that's enough stalling. Let's go ahead, hop into the battles, see how hard the Ghost and Dark High Score event really is. Oh, boy. So the first battle here, we've got ourselves versus Agatha, where we're going to be using Eriott, Pierce, and the Master Royale. So the big gimmick here with Agatha, I think, is this one's the no weather zone or terrain stage. So your big goal is trying to find a high-powered enough damage dealer that doesn't need zone, and of course you could also apply that to like rebuff and whatnot, but the big thing is that Agatha is also weak to Ghost, so you probably want to try and prioritize using a Ghost character, because there's a very low chance that any Dark character can probably out damage some of the better end Ghost characters, right? I think Eriott is probably the best example of this, being probably I think just the strongest Ghost striker in the game, right? She's got such a good nuke, she's got good DPS options, she's got the flinch utility as well, and the debuffs and whatnot, right? So Eriott is really, really strong for this stage, so you can go pretty high strength. I brought the Master Royale for attack debuffs to maximize Eriott's pecking order. Do note, I don't really rank in these things, so of course there's probably better placement for these units and whatnot, but this is just the setup that I'm doing, right? I'm just trying to go for those 200,000 points, and it works out, right? You're getting the pecking order debuffs and whatnot, max attack debuffs, and the Master Royale can also hit the Dust Nora over there super effectively too, because it's got the Dark weakness, right? Not that it really matters too much. Eriott does also have evasion buff, so if you want to try and rely on some evasion cheese, that is definitely a good strategy to try out for sure. Definitely not bad. Not really much else to say there. Eriott's nuke is really the big thing here, and just trying to finish off the enemy as fast as possible. This was 400 strength, I believe, which is the highest amount of strength I did for this event, and it gave me a lot of points. It was the big amount of points, I guess, that I needed in order to be able to get in the win, I guess. Master Royale lived with 1% HP. That's so funny. But the amount of points that I got from this definitely made up for the fact that I didn't get as many points in the other stages because of the amount of power that I put behind this specific win, right? I'm not sure if I'll rank in this event or not. This is just my first video on it, and I might not even make a secondary video over it, but I might try to rank, because I have all the tools available. But either way, this kind of just showed me that I could get quite a few points, so nearly 60,000 there. Definitely not too shabby, and that was, again, the weather terrain zoneless Agatha, so that was without Ghost Zone. Eriott is just that strong, and that's kind of the point, so that's nice. Alright, and the next one is Acerola with her -3 sync countdown. So I went with Morty because we were going to obviously need the defensive buffs in order to be able to survive her sync nuke, and I went with Renegade Cynthia for the Ghost Zone because she is a fairy sync, and Agatha for some sleep delay. So there's, again, better strategies to try and go for some of these stages, but Acerola is so annoying with her strength that I went ahead and went with this setup here specifically just to try and, I guess, maximize the use of Cynthia. I don't know. Trying getting rid of her special defense debuffs is really annoying because she's really good at buffing them, so that does suck, but at the end of the day, not really too much I can do about that. She's also steel weak, so you could try and use Gardenia for this stage. I'm not sure if Gardenia is very good for it. I can only assume that she is, right? Gardenia debuffs special defense, she debuffs attack and special attack, she does steal damage, right? I can only just guess that Gardenia is probably good for this specific stage, but hey, I don't have her, so oh well. And I have not really researched too much into the best team compositions for the high score event yet, so maybe I'll get back to that. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Also, I didn't realize I had Cynthia targeted this whole time, but it didn't really matter because of the constant delay that we did with the hypnosis, and we're obviously healing up Cynthia too. Acerola hits hard, so it's in higher strength runs. Not that people are really going to be looking to me for advice on that type of thing. It's really just not recommended to even use Cynthia here because of her fairy weakness. The Sync Nuke's going to kill her 100%, and she's not going to be able to do enough damage back to Acerola in order to actually... Not Acerola. Yeah, Acerola. That is who it is. In order to actually do enough damage or make a big of a difference. So it's a good strategy for low points, right? Or it's a strategy that works, rather, for a low point investment. But if you're going to try for the top stuff, just stick to something else. Just stick to something else. Don't use Cynthia. She's fairy weak. It's really going to just completely screw her over. So keep all that in mind. And the Shadow Ball does not KO, but the next one will. So it doesn't really matter that much. Goes zone, goes out, but who cares? Either way, this was 250 strength just because the -3 sync countdown is so annoying to, work around and whatnot. But 42,000 points nonetheless, whatever. Getting 40,000 as like a baseline is obviously what you should try and aim for each of these stages, because 40,000 times 5, that's your 200,000. You'll get your points right. Anything else is pretty much just a little extra. So yeah, there it was. There was my battle against Acerola. Cynthia, not really optimal for this specific stage, but it works in lower strength, and Morty's defensive debuffs were really crucial in actually being able to survive, so that was nice too. And our third battle here is against Sydney, where I think, 300 strength. Just pure base, 300 strength. That's about the average you tend to want to do if you want to try and just go for 200,000 points. Is about 300 strength for each stage. I did 400 for Agatha, 250 for Acerola, and now 300 on the dot for Sydney. I'm using Akari here because this is the stage, this is the one where techs are mitigated, right? I believe so. Yeah, this is the one where techs are mitigated. So obviously using tech nukes not going to work too well. But thankfully Akari is a good, basically a striker, honestly. She's obviously field, but for damage purposes, she's all in all mostly a striker type of character. The big thing that I went with this stage was that it said that they were pretty mixed in the offensive department, so I just never bothered trying to cater to the physical side. I guess you could say that with Phoebe's defense buffs, I kind of mitigated the physical damage a little bit, but I did bring Rachel in order to help out with the special damage because Phoebe's not really especially bulky. Rachel being able to debuff special attack is going to be very helpful for making sure those Giga Drains that they're using or whatever else is not going to be doing too much damage. So that's pretty much all I brought Rachel here for. And the healing, very helpful with that trainer move, giving her like 60% health back, I think. Yeah. Can we give Rachel an EX, please? Sawyer 2, of course, as well. That'd be nice, but whatever. Again, Akari mostly brought for this stage because you can't use tech nukes, and a lot of good Dark and Tech characters are Dark and Ghost characters are tech, so having to work around that is a little annoying, but it's overall not too bad of a gimmick, I would say. Just, it's pretty traditional as well across all of these high score events, but whatever, that's fine. Big thing here is that you can also make use of Phoebe's double edge, quote-unquote, suicide, right, in order to get to your sync move, have the enemy stall out their turns, right, because if you didn't know, basically, in layman's terms, if a character is going to KO themselves from an action that they take by themselves, such as recoil damage or like poison or whatever, then the enemy's not going to queue up a move until that character actually KOs themselves. So that's why Sydney did not queue up a sync move, because Phoebe was still in the process of dying, right? And then they go for Icy Wind trying to debuff us here, but whatever, that's fine. One of the big multiplier things here is I think debuffs, right? Having debuffs on the enemy, and I think buffs for yourself? I don't remember quite. But debuffs on the enemy, I think, was one of the bigger conditions to try and meet here. So Rachel being able to debuff special attack was helpful for meeting some of that. And if you wanted to know the character thing, you have the event challenges, you have flinching, which is fine, as well as bringing a seasonal or gym leader character, which with Morty being pretty good in this event, that's not a hard thing to meet, right? You got Fall Caitlyn for seasonals, you got Summer N for seasonals, BP Morty and regular Morty for the gym leader, stuff like that, right? Definitely not too bad to meet, not bad at all. Second to last battle here is against N, and it was probably one of the most fun that I've actually had doing any high score event battle. So we brought Marnie, Calum, and Marnie, Calum, and Charon. I meant to say Marnie, Charon, and Neo Champion Calum, but whatever, doesn't matter. My Marnie's only 1 out of 5, which she is great for the stage just in general, but I mean, I just brought her. I don't feel like investing in her to make her even better and getting higher strength, which she can do, but nah, I'm good. Anyway, whatever. I brought Sharon for the special defense debuffs to empower Marnie's damage, mostly on her Fierce Fiery Wrath, because the big game here is that same moves don't do damage. So bringing my 1 out of 5 striker is, you know, good, because she doesn't do damage naturally, and I just didn't bother in trying to invest anything in tech nukes, or just any sync nukes in general, because they're reduced, so why not just try and focus fully on damage? So that's kind of what I did. You do want some luck, I guess, in order to get flinches here with either the regular Fiery Wrath or with the Buddy Move Fiery Wrath, but for the most part, I've realized that it does not matter that much. Just quad Q up, move with Caleb, preferably as a buddy move, and you're going to be getting a ton of damage in nonetheless, so, I mean, it's fine. Don't really have too much else to say about that. We're using Fake Tears just to get debuffs in on the sides now, because they'll get KO'd without really any problem, but if you're able to debuff the sides, then you're getting more points in, right? Because again, having more debuffs and whatnot. Dark Zone going out there is a little bit annoying, but this is the fun part about this strategy was Sharon uses the sync move, doesn't really matter. Marnie goes for Protect, and Caleb sets the Dark Zone back up. End's got a Dark type sync nuke, obviously. So you kind of do have to deal with some empowerment there, but with the sync move, Marnie ends up surviving with 4% health, even with the Protect, gaining your +3 special moves next from her passive, and then just obliterating them with her Fierce Fire Wrath, which is pretty funny to me. And it would have been fine even if it didn't one-shot, because we could have denied that side there, so it was fine nonetheless. And we got 47,000 points. I forget how much strength I did. It's on the detailed view. Yeah, 280 strength. Whatever, that's fine. And yeah, I was right. There was more stat increases. So another big thing to deal with is having stat increases, which you'll see in the last battle I make pretty big of use of. So yeah, 193,000 points right now. Not too shabby, again, if you're just going for that 200,000 baseline. And the final battle is against Fantina, because Fantina is the freebie, right? Having no conditions. One fun fact that I found out about this from Dabo was that you can do special costume Zinnia on the stage at 1,000 strength pretty much for free. I think the secondary character brought, who was it again? I don't remember actually, but whatever. I think BB is what he brought, but doesn't matter. Zinnia is just too good. Her nuke is amazing for this stage. She steals the stat buffs and whatnot, right? So you don't have to deal with that all that much. And she's just a really good character for this. I brought Lily as a secondary source of damage to take on the sides, because obviously Zinnia, you have to deal with the sides. That's a pretty big thing to have to deal with. But thankfully, I do have Lily to be able to handle the Spiritomb on type, which was totally unintentional, and handle the Frostlass, well enough alongside Zinnia once, that starts to become a necessity. This is my second time actually doing this stage and getting the win, so there was a little bit of, I guess, misplay, but it didn't really end up mattering too much anyway, just because I didn't need many points, I didn't go super high strength, and we do have defensive buffs from Caitlyn. And this is what I was talking about in the last battle, where you'll see the making use of more stat buffs, right? Zinnia wants stat buffs for Rising Tide. Caitlyn provides a ton of stats with her potential for +6 attack, special attack, not special attack, attack, speed, defense, and special defense, right? And accuracy, too. Not +6 accuracy, but +2 accuracy. Still, that's a lot of stat buffs, and that will be good for getting as many points as possible here. I did think about resetting, but I just wanted to see if the nuke would even KO. Clearly it didn't, and I knew I could get the win in no matter what, so I didn't really worry too much about it. The Frostlass does have stats up, but that's fine, because I didn't pick up Unbuff Foe Sync Up. Just pick up Rising Tide. Having double Rising Tide is already really fucking strong, so it doesn't matter. And then we kill the Spiritomb there with Lily's Moonblast as usual. That's it. So Zinnia, I'm pretty sure, is probably the optimal strat against Fantina, because you have the potential to use max strength, but I'm not really sure what the partners are for that. Not really my forte, I guess you could say, but doesn't matter too much. We were able to get the win in nonetheless. Could have definitely tried that for higher strength, and I probably will, right? I might actually end up laddering in the high score event, because I looked at some setups for top rankings, and I have quite a few of the characters that are needed, and I do intend to go for some of the characters that are needed. So I just might, but this is why I ended up with 246,000 points on my first try, without looking at any guides, just using my own judgment and using my own characters. This is what I did. This is never going to be a guide. I will never be trying to guide people on what to do for the high score event, because that's not my job, and that's not what I enjoy doing. I'm just not really a big fan of this game mode, but I figure if anyone does want some help, go on the r/PokemonMasters Discord, go on other YouTube, other YouTubers who put out this type of content, and I'm sure they'd be able to help you 100%. These people are great people, and if you do want to try and get some help, again, go for that. whatever else. But this is my runs. I hope you all enjoyed. I might end up laddering, not too sure. But for now, I'll stick with this 246,000 point score. Stick with my rewards. I'm not too concerned about ranking too high, at least not for now, but we'll see. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you scored. Peace.